and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Commissioner Laurent.
Here.
Commissioner Dunn.
Here.
Commissioner Berry.
Here.
Commissioner Rutt.
Here.
Commissioner Lamb. Commissioner McCleary.
Here.
And Commissioner Zesnik. Who else? Who am I missing? I got him. Okay. I have a quorum. Okay. Moving on to the agenda, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda's approved. Approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from February 3rd.
Second.
2025.
Supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Public comments on non-agenda items. Non-agenda items. Seeing none. Open the public hearing. Do we have any public hearing items? Okay, seeing none, closing the public hearing, moving on to old business. Master Plan Amendment 3, Strategic Action Plan Draft Number 2. Do you have something to present for this?
I do. I can step through my memo at the podium, and then I can run through some of the changes that were made in this latest draft. I'll go ahead and plug into the podium and meet you up there. Thank you, Chairman Sable and the rest of the commission. I'm really excited to provide a revised draft number 2 of the Village Master Plan Amendment number 3 for a strategic action plan. I'm just scrolling through to the actual item here. As you know, we were authorized in 2024 to prepare this amendment to restate and revise the goals and objectives of the master plan and to develop that action item list that you've worked so hard on and given me a lot of great feedback. We also issued a public survey for the goals and objectives specifically to understand community priorities and to further refine and reorganize the goals, objectives, and actions. There is a report towards the end of this document that has all of the public input received. I've plugged that into the draft, and I'll run through kind of how that played into my updates as well as some of the next steps. But just a quick rundown of the remaining tasks and the schedule. Right now we're reviewing draft number 2. We'll talk about kind of how we can either revise or move this forward. But there is a 42-day required public review period. So once this gets approved by council for distribution, the draft has to be reviewed. And then eventually there will be a public hearing and an adoption process. So I'm on page 19 of your packet. I'm looking at the draft number 2 strategic action plan. Moving down to page 22, I did bring some of that public engagement narrative up to visible status. We had over 120 responses to the public opinion survey. We didn't get a lot of qualitative comments. We didn't get anyone leaving a lot of text comments, but we did have folks vote and prioritize their goals and objectives. And so if you scroll down to, or flip to page 26 of your packet, kind of demonstrate how that looks. Each objective was, the residents and folks who took the survey were asked to rate their priority level for each of these objectives, just to give even more, I guess, buy-in for some of these action items. So you'll see for each objective, I put a community priority, which is really just an aggregate of the choices. So if there was a little bit, if it was kind of split evenly down the middle, I gave it a medium. But if it was clearly high or clearly low, I noted it as such. In addition to these community priorities, I went ahead and incorporated all of the revisions that we discussed at the last meeting, including the inputting the timelines, the leads, potential leads, and of course the priority level. This is a reorganization. It's not too much different from what you saw last time, other than it might be a little more slimmed down because we did omit and take out some of those items. I think that some of the bigger changes that we'll see is in the economic development and the environment section. In the economic development section, we eliminated / consolidated some of the objectives. So I believe we had somewhere around 6 objectives. We now have only 4. And these have really been revised and tailored to focus purely on kind of sort of the businesses, but also the sort of the infrastructure needs that goes into supporting, historic infrastructure, as well as accessibility to these businesses. In terms of the environment, this got built out quite a bit more than what was last seen. We wanted to make sure that we could have a focus on renewable energy and low impact design, which the village can spearhead through implementation on their public buildings and spaces. But also just wanted to highlight increasing awareness and public education of the village's natural resources, including potentially working with the community and studying other communities to understand what a tree preservation ordinance might mean for the village, as well as imposing some impervious surface area limitations. Overall, again, I have all of the community engagement input, but overall, we didn't receive a ton of pushback, I should say, for many of the goals and objectives. It was really just continuing to refine them and just highlight what the community's priorities are. If you have any questions on any of these objectives, or if you're seeing something that might not be right, please let me know. But as I work through kind of revising this, I just wanted to come back to the next steps. So the survey is closed, but the project webpage is still live. That'll remain active through adoption. I've already implemented an open comment feature so that when this does go to public review, folks can easily just go on the webpage, drop a comment, and that'll be available for your review at the public hearing, which happens after the 42-day period. We'll hold a public hearing here at the Planning Commission. You can recommend approval with conditions. You'll send that recommendation to the Village Council, and they will move to adopt it. Tonight, it's just the draft. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but there's still plenty of time for comment and revisions if needed. So tonight, I recommend that the Planning Commission make the recommendation to Village Council to distribute the draft plan for the state mandated 42-day public review period.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the Planning Commission recommend to the Village Council the approval of the distribution of the draft Strategic Action Plan, Master Plan Amendment Number 3, for the required 42-day public review period, and provided that the Village Council approves the distribution of the draft plan at its April 14th meeting, to request that village staff and planning consultants schedule and have the required notices published for a public hearing for the strategic action plan at the June 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
I guess I'd like to make a comment. I think all of us received George Dandelis's note last night,
Yes.
okay? And I guess I'd like us to reconsider the priority on those objectives 3C, to bring them all to high priority.
Yep. Just for reference,
You know, keyholing is one of the major issues, you know, and it is, you know, in fact, law. And we've been talking about it before I even came, you know, to Lake Orion. So, you know, I think if we look at some of the surveys, I think 3C received probably some of the highest, strongly agree, 92%, you know,
Sure.
numbers relative to where people were, again, interested in us enforcing and controlling and just keeping high quality, our number one asset. That is our number one asset in the village, you know, in terms of square footage. I don't know how much that represents in terms of the village, but again, that is our number one asset, and we have to protect it for us, as well as our kids and our grandkids, you know, and right now, we've got some issues that just don't seem to be getting addressed, you know, as Lola, you know, I'm part of Lola as well. We can't enforce. We have to work with the government bodies, and as you saw in George's note, you know, some of the government bodies have pushed it back to the localities. So yes, some of it's Lake Orion, some of it's the village, but all in all, we are the citizens that need to protect that lake. So again, I would ask that we reconsider the priorities on those objective 3C items, you know, based on what George has said. That's my comment.
Question? Are you looking at all of them being high?
Yeah, we've already got three that are high, and I think, you know, keyholing is a number one
Yeah.
that we want to move to the high position, you know. We've got ordinances there that are out of date, you know. They restrict your speed on the lake to 40 miles an hour. Well, you know, we at least need to revise some of these things to be reflective of the current day and age,
Sure.
and look at maybe enhancing it where we need to. You know, lowering the lake level every 3 to 5 years, you know, seems pretty simple. All we got to do is open the dams, close the dams. Why do we have to do it? Look at the wake boats. The wake boats are, you know, eroding our shoreline, our walls. So it takes more maintenance of those walls until we get control at a state or local level on the wake boats. And again, I don't think it's too big a deal to open and close the dam. 3 versus 5 years, and I guess, you know, if, I don't know that it is indicative of everybody on the lake that they want that, but just looking at the erosion, I think, you know, looking at my own, it's, in just a year, it's really deteriorated based on those waves coming against it, and as Ed knows, I mean, the water level, and Hank, the water levels have come up so quick that between the snow and the ice, we haven't even had a chance to look at the walls. The water's come up about 10 inches in the last 2 weeks.
Easy.
Mr. Chairman, for clarification, is the motion an amendment to my motion to make the necessary changes to the, or to make the requested changes to the plan before we vote on the motion to forward it on?
That
Is that your motion?
is my motion, yes.
So,
You're adding that onto your motion? That's an add-on?
I'm not adding it on, but he's amending my motion to
Okay.
make this change. And if I understand correctly, it's it would be a motion to change all of 3C items to high priority.
Mr. Chair, if I may, it may help make things a little bit cleaner if the board votes on the initial motion that Mr. McCleary made. and then Mr. Berry could go ahead and make his amended motion.
Okay.
If we want to make sure we're not getting them combobulated, but that's the board's pleasure, but that is also a suggestion.
So do you want to repeat that motion of 806 words? No, we got
hear
it.
what
We
she
got
said.
it.
Oh, my apologies. There is also the option of voting on the original motion, and if it's the board's pleasure to vote that down, you can. And then Mr. Berry could go ahead and make a new motion with the suggestions that was just discussed.
I think it might be easier to vote on the amendment
Sure.
and then to vote on the main motion afterward. And I will second the motion to amend.
Great. I can help you with the amended
Second,
motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And now back to the main motion that I made, which incorporates this amendment now.
Which you also have a second on already.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. All right.
Should we have that as correspondence to this, that letter?
George's comments?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'll be in the public engagement data. I just wasn't able to splice it
Okay.
with what we got. But absolutely.
Okay.
It'll be in the council packet. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. Under A, monthly planning and zoning report.
It is a verbal report, if that is all right, Mr. Chair.
Sounds good to me.
Just highlighting some major improvements over the last couple of months. The village has finally rolled out its online permitting and inspection software for planning and zoning applications. I'm actually going to plug in and show you what that looks like.
Can't wait.
I shouldn't have moved from my podium. But now, instead of, well, in addition to paper applications, folks can easily go online to the Lake Orion website. We've got a permits and licenses tab right here. And folks can register, or they have to register an account so that in the future, they'll have access to all of these, but they only have to register once, and they can apply for these handful of applications. We'll be looking to add additional applications, licenses, other things that require renewals, special event applications, to better track, permit, and enforce our ordinances, and just make things a little more streamlined and easier for applicants. They'll be able to see the steps of the process, so where their application's at. They'll be able to communicate directly with me through the GoGov app. And they'll also be able to know when things are transferred to the Township Building Department. It's been a bit of a gap in our communication with the department and applicants, just making sure everyone's on the same page. I think this alleviates a lot of that potential confusion. And we're really excited to get this off the ground.
Has
Yes.
it been used yet? Anybody use it yet?
Yes, we've had an application. It's great. All the staff that have any hand in a review, they get an email alert. They can log on to the cloud and review and leave their comments. It's been working pretty great so far. So I do want to thank Mr. McClary and Village Council representatives for helping get this off the ground. It's going to be a great improvement.
What's the platform? Like what?
Yep. So we're
Which-
using GoGov.
GoGov.
Yeah, the township and most other larger municipalities use BSNA for their permitting software. GoGov is it's appropriate for a community of our size. It's very nimble, it's cloud-based, and it's connected right to our Go Enforce module, which is through the same company. So our code enforcement links right to our property database, and everything is visible through the platform on on the staff side.
So if I could add to that, so what happens with this system is, on the staff end, as we are reviewing these applications, if the property also has a code enforcement action going on at the same time, a message will pop up at the top of the application module that tells us there is code enforcement action going on as well, so that we're aware of that, so that we can consider that as we're considering whether or not to approve their application. Also, at the end of the process for the zoning compliance permits, the township is one of the final steps in the process, so they automatically are emailed notification that we have approved a zoning compliance permit. Jennifer at the township then gets that email. They open it up, and they can pull the information off our system and then do what they need to do on their side for the building permit applications. So it helps to integrate more of what we do without us having to physically take something over to the township. Now they can pull all of the data, the documents, everything right from our system into their system.
Sounds great.
Yes. That's all I have to say about the permitting software. If you have any questions or residents have any questions, I mean, please direct them to me. Happy to answer anything that they might need. Some other updates on the planning and zoning side, our village engineering consultants are nearing the end of their engineering design and construction standards ordinance revision. That does include a bit of planning and zoning items. Specifically, a process for plat review for single-family homes for new construction or substantial reconstruction. Prior, we weren't requiring engineering review of plot plans. This isn't a site plan review. It's not going to come before the Planning Commission, but it does add another layer of professional eyes to determine things like grade, runoff, impervious surfaces. They'll have a better handle on that, and they'll be able to provide us input as we approve zoning compliance applications for single-family homes. We're pretty tight here on the lake, so we want to make sure that we can respect those resources and the land that we do have as best as we can. All of our developments, as you can see, they're moving forward. Constellation Bay is right there. We just had pre-construction meetings for the peninsula as well, those 3 single-family condominium units along Lake Street. And overall, it's picking up. This is going to be the busy season, and I'm looking forward to working with residents and business owners. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them as always.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, commissioners' comments regarding planning and zoning matters. Let's start down here. Anyone? Bueller?
I have nothing today.
I have nothing. Darwin?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Nothing for tonight.
Just a note for Gage, nice job putting this all together. It was a lot of work just doing it from my part. I can't imagine how much work it was from your part.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate your input, really.
That's it.
Okay. Nothing for me. The next regular meeting's May 5th, 2025. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.